Thanks for the invite, by the way.
No problem, bro. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mika Says Ukasa. Of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. Today, I have with me a very special guest, the host of the Progressive Soapbox and the co-host of our Sputnik Radios. There you go. Fault Lines, Jamarl Thomas. Jamarl, thanks for coming on, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
No problem at all, bro. No problem at all. You've been doing some fantastic work lately, man. You've been busy, very, very busy. I know you have the show, and then you come home, and then you do your show, or I should say, you stay home and then do your show. But
Right.
a lot of people, all right, exactly. It's once again, beautiful thing. But a lot of people may not know that you kind of went from doing your own thing on YouTube, and then you ended up on Political Misfits, and then you ended up basically replacing Garland Nixon and Lee Stranahan on Fault Lines. How's that transition been for you? Do you like doing the show?
Weird. Very weird. Very weird. Because it's like all of this stuff happened at once, right? It's like they bring you on just to do fault lines. Like when you're over the like 2 years, I think I was coming back and forth, and they would bring me on like maybe twice, 2 or 3 times a month. I would make that drive up, make that drive back, and there was no expectation of anything. But just as a person in the back of your head, it's like, all right, at some point. Get sick of just seeing me come in and out. And so I was like, get that darky a job.
Man.
But so finally, I think it was like after 2 years or so, I think Garland hit me up and he was like, yo, he says, don't tell nobody this, but if you had to move, could you do it? Now at this point, my wife and I had just gotten back from traveling. So we're still like, hadn't moved anywhere, we hadn't settled anywhere yet. So I was like, dude, yes. Like, yes, yeah, man, hello. And then I didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, God, maybe this didn't go well. I was like, oh, maybe not. And so finally, they give me the call, they bring me on, and we do Political Misfits. And then I get a call maybe 2 or 3 months into Political Misfits that Fault Lines basically, went tits up and asking me if I could do Fault Lines. And so my thought was, okay, well, I'll do both. If ever there's this chance where they want to bring Garland back, they just bring her back. It's not that big of a deal. I don't mind handling both shows. But it became clear that no, that's not what we mean. We mean get you and Shane to basically take over. And so that gets a little weird because you have people who are like, where's Garland? Where's Garland?
He's the wrong black guy.
Right, that's the wrong black guy. You're not fooling us. You're trying to sneak that other lefty in there. And so it's a little awkward with that. And then Shane and I are different. We're a little bit more cerebral than just the straight political thing. I mean, we get to the politics and we bring people on.
Especially considering Shane's relative, who we'll not bring up. But it's like, it's definitely, I did not know, I couldn't tell that he and Shane were related.
Yeah, they seemed like night and day.
Yeah.
Like night and day. Like they're so different. Like
first time I went on, I was like, you're a what? And he's like saying all these things that I agree with, and I'm like, hold on, I'm confused. What'd you say this guy's last name was again? Is this a coincidence?
Right. Stranahan. It's like, you two are related? I mean, like it's shocking, right? I mean, just like people might not watch Fault Lines, so they may not know. But Lee is a hardcore right winger. Shane is, I don't know what Shane is. He's like a lib, but he's Populist. Not a lib. He's a lefty, but not a lefty. Very cerebral. Gets into these ideas of how society should be arranged with this kind of like technical solution to issues, those type of things. Yeah, he's really good, but he's drastically different than his dad. Like at the very least, it looks that way.
Pretty consistent too. He's very ideologically consistent, which I know doesn't always make for good radio, but I enjoy it. I know people don't like ideological consistency nowadays, but definitely watching your show. And then I got to give a shout out to Garland and Dr. Wilmer Leone on their show. They have a fantastic show, and it's just interesting to see just so much ideological consistency. And it's like, it's not like y'all are a monolith in your approaches, but like the way that you all arrive at your conclusions for both of you, it's like it's pretty consistent, and that is something I think we are in dire need of. Speaking of which, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of people willing to tackle the issue of election integrity. You've been one of the very few that I've noticed. And to be frank, once again, you've also been one of the very few black guys who like talking about this. And it didn't just start with this whole USPS rabble rousing, you've been talking about it pretty consistently. You've been bringing up the election polls, et cetera, et cetera. And you've also criticized people who have made light of this. Yes. Now, we have a tweet here from Ilhan Omar where she actually makes light of election integrity issues. She said, celebrating the autumn ballot harvest. Now, this is a reference to, the Project Veritas thing where she was accused of Project Veritas of benefiting.
Right. That's right. I remember.
Harvesting. But the ballot harvesting that actually took place was actually illegal. That is actually true. That's on camera. However, of course, Project Veritas always puts their spin on things, and they were wrong about that. Now, instead of correcting the record and saying like, hey, we should be paying attention to actual ballot harvesting in A, B, C, and D areas, Ilhan Omar kind of like turned herself into the ultimate victim and is kind of gaslighted every scenario where she could have, or where anybody like talked about ballot harvesting. What's your take on this? Do you believe this is appropriate?
Appropriate is different. Appropriate is I don't know how to put appropriate in context, if that makes sense. But
I guess nowadays, right?
Well, right. Appropriate is hard, right? I guess I don't have any feelings about her doing it. I mean, the ballot harvesting thing, it was legal. Like, that's the weird part, right? That's somewhat legal.
Well, it was legal for 3. So I found out it was illegal to have 3 ballots in your POV, but he had 20 at least. So that part is not legal. So, which once again gets lost in the conversation because it gets about, were you propping up Project Veritas or not, or smearing Ilhan Omar or not? Nobody ever talks about the actual illegality of what took place.
Well, but all of those people basically came out and said something different than what Project Veritas said. Like,
at first it was 200, something like that. That's what the problem was. It was like 200 ballots and then went to 20 ballots, which is also still illegal.
Well, no, what I mean is each one of those guys had something else to say that contradicted something that Project Veritas said. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like multiple, like 2 or 3 people. And look, I'm not taking a shot at Tulsi over this. More so, because she was trying to find something to put her hook in of saying, hey, this is an issue, let's deal with this issue.
Yeah, I think she had been calling out ballot harvesting for like the last 2 weeks prior to that.
Yeah, she wasn't trying to, I didn't take it as she was trying to intentionally hit Omar. It was just kind of, this came up, so I'm going this route with it. No, the ballots thing, we have to do something about our elections, man. I mean, like, when you think of the number of people that vote in our country, and then you think of the voter ID laws, you think of the interstate cross-check, that stuff where they were just wiping people off the rolls based on their last names. You had, what's the guy name in Pennsylvania during the Romney thing, where he was like, voter ID laws is going to let Romney in Pennsylvania, Tursky.
Oh, I know you're talking about. I don't remember his name. I'm bad with names.
Well, he let the cat out of the bag, basically, and was telling too much. I mean, we do this stuff, like the long lines. Like, they would show like 5-hour lines, and it was like, this is the epitome of democracy. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
They're middle of a pandemic. Don't go to a rally, but please, for the love of God, wait in line, nut the butt. Basically, like it's crazy. Which, like, I would agree, don't go to rallies, but also maybe not. I feel like we should have more machines in more voting locations to decrease the amount of people waiting in line. Like, either way, even if there wasn't a pandemic, that should be the case.
Right. But it's amazing that in this country we do that. Like, it make it difficult to vote in this country, despite it's supposed to be the epitome of democracy. Like, you would think it would be the opposite. Voting would be somewhat easy because
you would think that but this is America, where you would think that we have all these hospitals, all these different healthcare systems, some of the best medical schools in the world, but medical care is trash here. Healthcare is trash. Yeah. So here's my issue. I probably wouldn't make fun of her, or wouldn't have so much of an issue with her making light of election integrity, if she didn't make such a big deal about it when Republicans did it. To the degree that you would think that she would try to encourage something to be done about election fraud in general. If election, why do
you think they don't? Well, like Democrats. I mean, because we hit on this today, like, where it's like, why don't Democrats care about this? I mean, if you think back to the Al Gore thing, where Gore was gaveling people down, and those people were standing up for him. There was like, all of these blacks have been disenfranchised. What the hell are you doing? And Gore is just gaveling them down.
Or in North Carolina this year, where they had to overturn an election because, coincidence, ballot harvesting.
Right.
Like the Republicans got found guilty of ballot harvesting to the point where it affected the outcome of an election in North Carolina for the first. I think this is the first time in like 75 years, like that an election had to be completely overturned and redone, and that was because of ballot harvesting that actually harmed the Democrats.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it always harms the Democrats. Like when
in the generals, yes,
going after unions, when they're making that very specific interest of going after unions and attacking unions. Unions predominantly give money to Democrats. This is again undermining them. The voter ID laws that are going after African Americans or Hispanics, basically students. I remember at one point they said you can have a gun license, but you can't have a student license. It's like what? I can't have like it was stuff like that in like Texas and whatnot after the voter ID laws passed. The lines, all of those things are being done in order to bleed off Democratic voters. I mean, think of the number
that's
of
the stuff that doesn't get discussed. That's what's weird, right?
Nobody brings it up. It's like only now they were like, hey man, you gotta stand in those lines. And it's like, but for like 20, 30 years, you guys have done dick about this. And then all of a sudden now, you know.
But the USPS, Jamarl, the USPS.
Another one. That's the other one. Do you think this is gonna hit the well, I guess there's two questions in that. Do you think it's going to hit the skids where this is going to go to the Supreme Court? Meaning, is Trump's Amy Coney Barrett?
I was about to say, so you're saying is Trump going to win? Because that's basically what you're asking.
right.
I mean, they better. The thing is, what have the Democrats done to put anything in place to not have that happen?
Nothing. Where's Merrick? Where's Merrick? Garland. Where's Merrick Garland?
Hell, where's Kennedy? Y'all just let him walk, remember? Youngest justice. Wasn't he the youngest justice on the bench?
Kennedy? Was he?
I feel like he was.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
I feel like he was the youngest on the bench at the time. And now they just let him walk. Right? And what was weird was like right after they made the argument, oh, SCOTUS is so important. Like, I don't think that anyone could have predicted that the Democrats would be this stupid. You let one walk. Right. And then you just let one die off.
Yeah.
and now you're going to have a contentious election. I think that like nobody is really disputing that because, one like we just said, election fraud has not been taken care of, especially in swing states. I think that you're seeing a ridiculous increase in voter turnout, and under normal circumstances that benefits Democrats, but also people ain't got shit to do, and also people are pissed off. So you don't really know what that means in the context of these circumstances. And then just three, I don't feel like the way that the Democrats are handling this Hunter Biden situation is beneficial to them.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, let's get into that. Get into that. What do you think about that, by the way? I mean, I've covered it.
We talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it a bit on Fault Lines.
Yeah.
But what's bizarre about all of this is just like we expected them to say it's Russian. It's a Russian disinformation. But like the whole disinformation part of it is like, hold on, why is it disinformation? Unless I misinterpreted what disinformation meant, I would assume that means that the information is wrong. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but
no. Disinformation by definition, disinformation. Yeah,
but that's what I thought. So,
but they have no determination that the information is wrong.
Exactly. So there's not been any wrong information. No one has said it was wrong. The only thing that they've come out and categorically denied, they said, he didn't have that on his official schedule. That's it.
Right.
You know? Right. And it's like, what's crazy, I think, was like watching during the debate. Remember that portion where Trump was like, nah, you're taking money from China. And then Biden was like, nah, you're taking money from China. And he's like, nah, you're the one taking money. Well, you're taking money from Russia. Well, motherfucker, you taking money from Russia. And it's like,
it just kept going back and forth. Yeah.
It's like, well, both of y'all are right and both of y'all are lying. So there's that. But as far as the person who actually used most of their clout to benefit while they were in office, it's Biden, bro. And then for Biden to pretend like Trump is great on China, I'm like, bro, Trump, if he's done anything, like kept any of his campaign promises, it's being tough on China.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. It's one of the only ones.
And the TPP.
Yeah, and TPP. He did keep the promise about TPP. And he didn't start any new wars, which is not really saying much. But he didn't start any new wars either. But when you're just looking at the way this is being handled, it's kind of like Hillary Clinton's emails, right?
Yeah.
But they claim it was a hack for that. But with this specifically, they're saying basically that Hunter Biden, the information we found on Hunter Biden's emails is actually disinformation, despite now multiple people coming out and confirming in various areas. Yeah, this is facts. This is true. These are real.
Yeah. Not to mention the porn tapes and the coke. I mean,
crack. You gotta say crack. It's crack. It's crack cocaine.
Right, crack cocaine. Right.
Remember Biden tried to put us on death row for that? Remember nonviolent offense? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's why I bring that up, because ultimately, his crackhead son gets a job making like $80,000 a month. Every crackhead I know,
bro, I'm trying to tell you, don't get kicked out the Navy for doing crack. You'll never get another job again.
Yeah, because it's a dishonorable discharge, right? I mean, it makes it difficult for you to
which is the equivalent of getting a felony.
So what do you think they should have did? How do you think they should have handled it? I mean, you think they should have just hit it head on? I mean, because at this point, the media is playing block and tackle for Biden. I mean, Biden was like, oh, that's not on my schedule for that day.
So they should have handled it by saying, like, the Ukrainian government or that Hunter Biden was selected because he had a great relationship with X, Y, and Z, and that we have a mutually beneficial interest in having powerful people on energy boards of like the biggest, the boards of the biggest energy companies in any respective nation. Like, would I have liked that? No, but it also sounds reasonable. We want people on board. Like, I mean, John Podesta was on Juul. Or is it Juul? That was called Russia's biggest energy company.
Oh, I see. I feel you. I guess the thing is, that's his kid. And then when issues of nepotism and is there some kind of crony deal behind the scenes, that type of stuff. And look, Obama apparently, I mean, I think the New York Times have ran it, saying that he frowned upon this. I mean, like, I don't know who looks at this and thinks,
hey, Obama frowned upon a lot of shit that just kept happening anyway.
That's true.
Right? Like, had no control over that administration. It was a jungle gym, and he had to look from the outside and be like, damn, bro, they are really messing my shit up. But because Obama is so ego driven, he would not make it look. It's kind of like Trump in certain ways. He does not want to look like he's not in control.
It's funny. The managerial thing seems to work well with Obama. The no drama Obama stuff. But like you said, it's the Yemen war. Oh, I hated the Yemen war, and yet you signed that you greenlit that war, or
crying over the Tamir Rice thing and then giving the cops tanks.
Yeah, or even, do you remember? The thing I thought was one of the worst. It was the drinking the water at the in Michigan. It was that Flint, Michigan.
Man, that was the worst one, bro.
But then there was also the thing with Louis Harris Gates, I believe, where the cop arrests him at his door, and Obama says the cop behaved stupidly, and then all of a sudden people start crying, and he was like, "Well, let's just have a beer summit."
Yeah, like it's bizarre the way. I mean, I just feel like, man, look, black people, y'all, we just kind of screwed ourselves with this Obama worship, because like we're feeling the reverberation effects of Obama worship with this idea that Biden is actually even decent for us. Like, he's not a net negative for us.
Yeah.
Like, because he's a net negative. It's not even like, nothing would change. Nah, for everybody else, maybe nothing would fundamentally change. Things would get progressively worse. It would get streamlined. And in my opinion, people always say, oh, you just went, like, I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm like, I would rather him be in power and have a guarantee. I know he's gone in 4 years. I know his ideology is probably gone in 4 years for the most part. I know that the next person will not be as charismatic and will not be a billionaire in 4 years. He will be a lot easier to take down than Trump. Biden is different. Biden is accelerationist to me, because he will get everything done. Like, all the worst thing that Trump has done, Biden would absolutely do. But no one would be allowed to report on it or share it, or, and you can get censored for speaking on it. And like what we've seen with the New York Post article. And like that was like everybody, we all agree, like that was a different line that they crossed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I tell people. I prefer the enemy that I can actually fight.
Yeah.
And we can't fight Biden, because every time we do, what happens? We get shouted down. Then they're like, hey, man, you can't. Well, can we just wait till after he wins and then moves him left? I'm like, bro, how y'all planning to move a man left after he gets the most powerful office in the world? He ain't got to listen to you, and he's not planning on running for the second term.
How bizarre is that? And they say that. I mean, they say it all the time. AOC would say that stuff. Is like, oh, we're gonna just push him. Push him how?
Push
How?
him where? Push him in a wheelchair?
Had 88% approval, 88% among Democrats, and you could not get the Democratic president to back a policy that had 88% Democratic support. Like, it's like, come on, if you don't have that capability for something that's that popular, then you don't have the capability at all.
Or if you can't hold a guy accountable, like the Tara Reid situation was very telling with me. I knew how this was going to go once AOC lied on NPR when she said, well, Tara Reid didn't say that she wasn't going to vote for Joe Biden. It's like, yes, she did.
Did say that. Yeah.
She absolutely said that. And she said she wasn't going to vote Democrat at all. Like, she's not voting for Trump either, but she's not voting Democrat. Like, just because of what they did to her. And for AOC to go from, if anyone even says that Kavanaugh deserves due process, we got to primary them.
Yes.
To yeah, I know she tried to file a police report. Yeah, we know she got fired, and that all the other associates said, yeah, she got fired right after she came out about this. Like if there was ever, I've never seen someone with so much supporting evidence from a case so far back. To be real, because we know how the story usually goes, but AOC doesn't even give credence to any of the evidence. She just go ahead.
I would just say it's beyond Kavanaugh. I mean, it was far more evidence than the Kavanaugh stuff.
Oh, way more than, bro. Yeah. Never seen it, bro. I've never seen something from the 90s. Like, they're like, yeah, she absolutely did get fired. She absolutely did file a police report. They did ignore her. Biden did fire. Like, it's okay. Like, if there was ever a case where you should be like, look, I don't know if it's true or false, but it's looking a little bit more true than false. So, you know what? This is one of those situations where I have to be principled. This is bigger than politics. And if they can't understand it, then you as a political firebrand should know how to weaponize that and use it to your advantage and build yourself. Like, you have what, 6, 7, 8 million followers on Twitter, some crazy shit. And you can't just stand up for a woman. And you all women, Nancy, you're always attacking women of color. You're always attacking. What she really means is you're always attacking AOC. That's what she's really trying to say. You know, that's the only time she ever speaks up for anybody, right? Is when she can like use it for her own political brand. Like, she didn't want to stand up to anybody whenever Ilhan Omar was getting thrown over under the bus by the entire Democratic Party, and then subsequently by Donald Trump. But whenever it's a chance to attack Tulsi to hurt her brand, to boost AOC's brand, who's clearly trying to run for president, like yesterday, like, it's very clear to me that there is just this huge double standard, not only just for AOC, but it was exemplified by AOC, Ilhan Omar. I gotta say, even Tulsi, for Tulsi to be so good on sexual assault, like, she is, way like far beyond a lot of the Congress people. Like, she's introduced legislation for this stuff, and even for her, even though she hasn't pushed Biden onto us, she endorsed him. And contract or not, that just for I got like.
It bothers you.
Yeah, I got 3 sisters, bro. I got a single mom. I have like 2 of my sisters were victims of sexual assault, and when I see women just throwing other women under the bus to climb that ladder, that just never sat well with me. It still doesn't.
It's like, me who? Me who?
That's a damn hashtag now.
Yeah, Me Too was gone at that point. It's like Democrats put a bullet in Me Too in order to get Biden over the finish line.
And Alyssa Milano leading the charge too.
I mean, I've even heard them make the argument that says, well, Trump also was accused of rape. And so if both of them are accused of rape, I mean, you pick the better rapist. And it's like, what?
Yeah, like, no, this is really where we start replacing candidates. We're in a reasonable country.
Yeah, because they didn't have to accept Biden. They accepted Biden because they knew he was going to get the black vote. And they knew the black vote was the thing that was going to stop Sanders. But they didn't have to take him. And for people to make this argument that, oh, you're going to push him, you're not going to push Biden anywhere. You didn't have the capacity to push him while you were in the race.
Bro, he has dementia. Y'all can't even push him into a nursing home. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has dementia right now. Like, not like later, maybe potentially. Like, it's clear right now.
I've joked that his wife doesn't love him. Your wife, like, my wife would never have me out there like that. Never. I don't. In fact, even if I wanted to be president, I don't think she would have me out there looking crazy like that.
Nah.
I just don't. I was like, that woman doesn't love him. Who was it? What's his name? The African American guy was the pizza man. Was it his wife that was singing that day? No. It wasn't him. It was a guy, part of Hood.
What is this?
Ben Carson.
Oh, Lord.
There's a video with Ben Carson's wife.
You mean the pyramids were built by aliens, Ben Carson?
Well, right, Ben Carson. his wife is singing, I think, the Pledge of Allegiance, and it is. Don't have your wife like that, man. You just don't do that. You don't have your woman out there looking like that.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah, well, you guys wonder just how much any of these couples love each other. Like, it's bad. It's getting really, really bad. Just looking. And you gotta remember too, Jill Stein, not Dr. Jill Stein. Jill Biden is Biden's second wife. People forget that. Yeah, that's his second wife, and even the way that went, because his first wife I think passed away.
Yeah.
And like the way Jill Biden kind of came into the picture and just kind of took over. A lot of people have always been like, was this even a real marriage? Probably not. No, probably not. Probably wasn't. Right? Like, no, at that age with that type of political power, nothing you do is real. At that point, with the type of power that Joe Biden has. I do want to talk really quick about this Washington Post article though, because you covered this earlier and I was listening to you talk about it and I was like, Jamarl has to be kind of like exaggerating about some of this stuff.
No exaggeration.
You were not. The article says insisting that the Hunter Biden laptop is fake is a trap. So is insisting that it's real. You kind of like, oh, maybe we're gonna get a little bit of an objective article here. I might not agree with all of it, but it may be someone's trying to make an attempt at doing real journalism. So let me just go ahead and give some background real quick. This is by Thomas Rid, who is the author of Active Measures: The Secret History of Disinformation and Political Warfare. So this is gonna be good. Okay, so I'm just gonna go down to where he says, a close look at evidence shows that neither Biden nor Trump have the facts on their side for now. No, actually, one does have the facts on their side and one has the facts clearly against them, at least in this particular case. He says to take a step back, and the Russian interference in 2016 holds valuable lessons on what to do and what not to do in 2020. We must treat Hunter Biden leaks as if they were a foreign intelligence operation, even if they probably aren't. Bruh, I don't know how many people have read 1984, or if you're too lazy to read, watch the damn movie. But this is about as close to doublespeak as you can possibly get.
And let's just be clear, it's not magic. They could ask Biden whether or not they're real. They could ask him whether or not this meeting took place. You could ask him all that stuff. But they're acting as if, nope, nothing to see here, folks. Just pretend that this is Russian disinformation, whether it is or not.
Literally pretend. Literally pretend. That's what he's asking. Yeah. Because he just said, we don't know, but act like it is Russian interference. Like, whoa. Do you know what acting like it's Russian interference means? Did you watch the last 4 years?
And don't try to find out. Like, it's that part that's the weirdest part. It's like, because if you're saying that you don't treat it like it's Russian disinformation, well, but you have the ability to objectively determine whether or not this is true or false. So at the very least, you have an investigative method to ask questions of Joe Biden, to ask questions of Hunter, to track that guy down who was in the forum. All of that stuff. That's not magic. Those are just
Washington Post, bro. Call them.
Yeah, investigative functions. That's all it is. And so it's like, I get that you might want to treat this because you don't want, the reality of this to come out. But it's sickening the way they're treating the New York Post and the way they're treating the story. I mean, look,
even the New York Post considered mainstream?
It is. Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. That should put everybody on. That should put every mainstream outlet on notice, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, social media basically just say, yeah, we're not covering this article because we don't like it.
We blocking it. Not because it's not true, but because we can't prove that it's not true. Therefore, we got to block it until y'all can prove that it is true. And even if you prove it's true, it's not going to matter, because by the time you figure that out, Google will have already suppressed the article in the algorithms, which they did so successfully. If you try to Google the article, you'll get every single article except for that one saying that it's Russian disinformation.
Oh, that's so aggravating. That's so aggravating. And so, And so now you have this weird situation where social media is basically hiding stories for one of the opponents. I mean, because at that point, you're a publisher. Let's stop pretending. When you do stuff like that, you're a publisher, because you have to. Their argument was basically that they don't allow leaked information. Now, this is nonsense, right? When they were leaking Trump's tax returns, they had no issue with leaking his tax returns, and anything that came out
just a week ago, just a week prior to that,
just a week ago,
New York Post, New York Times.
They're like, we have issues with leaked.
Somebody hacked Trump's
like WikiLeaks, Edward Snowden. tax returns. Like you can go down the list. Like they bring up stuff about Trump all the time. The Afghanistan thing where they were talking about the Russians paying
Panama Papers.
Yeah, the Panama Papers. All of that stuff would be off limits for Twitter with that argument, but it's not. It's just Trump.
And what I think what was so bad about it was just the fact that it was a week ago. Like that's what like a week ago, y'all were like, somebody hacked Trump's tax returns and released them. Like y'all were very explicit in language. People were like, yeah, remember it was trending and all that shit. Yeah. Like y'all were really excited about it. And then a week later, somebody handed New York Post a hard drive with Hunter Biden's emails on it. Whoa!
Russia, you don't allow.
Yeah, I can't have that going around. Hold up. What? That's what is. It's terrifying to me that it has been made so clear that, like, so they're saying that as far as Trump has gone, and Trump has gone very far on a lot of issues. You and I both know that. But they're saying, yeah, we know that he's gone far, but he hasn't really gone far enough for us. We would like somebody else to do it and go further. Isn't that scary?
Yeah, that's terrifying because they're making Trump out to be something that I'm not sure he is.
Yeah.
Like they're acting like he's going to do babies. Yeah, right. And they're doing that to try to get people to vote for Biden. And, you know, what, 80, it's like 70-something% of the people who voted for Biden are doing so to get rid of Trump. Well, to some degree, you almost need an argument that this guy's going to end the world if you don't vote for him.
If, apocalyptic scenarios. Oh, man. ICE, for example.
Yeah.
They're going back and forth. Trump was like, bro, you built the cages.
Yeah. He was like, where did the cages come from, Joe? Where did the cages come from?
Yeah. Where did the cages come from?
Spider-Man thing. Well, one guy's in the Spider-Man suit, he points, and the other guy's in the Spider-Man suit, he points. Yeah. Right. And Democrats
made that meme yet, by the way. If somebody's missing an opportunity there. But it comes out that, Obama administration, even at the end of this for years, still deported more to Donald Trump's administration, bro.
By large numbers.
By large numbers. And don't get it twisted. ICE could have pulled up in people's houses at this point.
Yeah.
Because it ain't like people going nowhere like over the last 7-8 months.
Well, that's what they were saying. ICE was doing these mass raids. Like they would find, like they would go to a factory, they would pull all of these people out. The people would be waiting for their kids, or the kids would be waiting at school for their parents. The parents are at that point put in cages. Whereas Obama was apparently a better manager of it, and Democrats didn't care about it at the time, so they didn't say anything about it. Yeah. And so they just kind of let it ride.
Well, DACA, Jamarl, DACA. DACA means everything is okay. Even though it's funny because they're like, we got to save DACA. Y'all, I mean, I don't know how else to tell y'all this. DACA's already saved. The court saved DACA already. It's not going in. Now, you can't have any new DACA recipients, but also there shouldn't really be any new DACA recipients. We need to be advocating for complete and total, like, comprehensive immigration reform. We don't want people being held on a string like this.
Right there. It's on a string.
Like right there. It could one Supreme Court justice, one federal judge could change all of that.
Yeah, they're on a string. I mean, but they're on a string because they want those guys to be vulnerable to try to again. Exactly. I think all of this is to incentivize this notion of you have nowhere else to go. And until blacks, lefties, I mean, Hispanics, more Hispanics vote for Republican than some of the other demographics, but still, until
shout out to Miami, I guess.
Yeah, right. I was at Miami. Well, Trump is getting a big boost in that.
And North Texas. Yeah. The Tex-Mex is out there.
I mean, they're concerned. They think that, Biden is losing part of that vote. I mean, some of it is Obama, of course. But
they hate. I mean, Obama threw them under the bus, bro. Yeah. Like, you got to think about it. Like, so out here, which is never covered, by the way, I live in Little Havana, which is like, for those of you don't know, this like, if you want to talk about the closest to Cuba that you can be, but the white Cuba, like not the black Cuba, but like if Batista regime was uprooted and put in a place, would be it.
Yeah.
2 hours on like the main street, Calle Ocho, of a